Hello, it's me again. This time doing a review of Spyro Free Any Percent, but on PC. Really mixing it up. Let's have a quick look at the leaderboard. So we've got just under 60 runners at the moment, and smack in the middle from just a few days ago is Kurt. Maybe it's Kurteis. I will just say Kurt for the purposes of not getting things wrong. Now, they've only been on speedrun.com for just over 2 weeks, so I'm confident in saying they're very new to all of this, and they have admitted to that. But I didn't realize it was only within the last few weeks. I thought it was more than a month already. But no, they are already halfway up the ladder with very little play time, which is an excellent sign. Really hoping to see what they do because no one's really joined the sub 50 club in a while. Most of these runners have been here uh, for the majority of their time, feels like. What does that even mean? All right, let's just get on with the run, shall we? So I'll play some music in the background. I won't be listening to the game. I don't think Kurt plays with game audio in their recordings anyway. But because I'm speeding it up, the music that they play, which is really good, just sounds a bit funny on 1.5 times speed. So let's get started. Now, I already know one split that they want me to go over, but that's not for a little while. I can see that they're spamming the buttons to try and skip these cutscenes. Typically, one well-timed Y input, as we're using an Xbox controller, will do it. Let's go. Alright, I'm not going to get hung up on gems, but there was pretty convenient fives just back there. Second try at Bianca skip. Amy skip, getting on the sign with some difficulty, but good lineup once on the air. And no Bianca cutscene. So really decent start. Off to Miles. What we see here, they did turn in a bit too early and clip the rock. So you want to go around that part. But staying close to the wall is good. There's a good hover. Ooh, the head bash. Merely a flex. And Sparks doesn't want to pick up any gems whilst they're eating. I like this. They go for the post-deck movement. It's not like perfect, but why should it be? Yeah, interestingly, they are losing a bit of time to their gold here. I didn't think that was that bad of a sunny. I suppose I am watching 1.5 times speed. Yeah, clearly they've had even better paces, but no worries. They're going to pick up a few extra gems, and I like that they just go for Bianca skip again, feeling more confident with that than trying anything crazy, as the alternative Bianca skip can feel a bit worse. Off this way. Good lineup. It is unfortunate that they hit the auto hover. Maybe just a few too many taps, and yeah, they changed it up. Yeah, what I really like to see from Kurt is they are clearly in that learning phase, but they adapt with every like second attempt and stuff, that they're actively thinking about what they did wrong. They may not know everything about how the game plays, but they are aware of what they're doing and what their inputs as Spyro are doing. And not really much to say about the spirits. Those are easy. Small tip for that one, we'll go back. So if you maybe go a little bit more over the central platform, you'll be able to catch the thief. I really should slow down a bit. This is the trouble. So I'm going to pause it here. I like to go through this angle a bit more, so I'll pick up the green gem as well. It doesn't matter too much, but what does matter is where we actually reach the thief. This is the window where you want to be flaming, basically, because as soon as the thief lands, they're going to take off. So these short jumps are the perfect windows to attack. And because you've approached from such a direct angle instead of coming in a bit more from the side, by the time we get in range, they've already made it clear. So what I want you to do is maybe aggro the thief a little bit later, close the gap a bit more from the side, and you won't need to chase them at all. This time it wasn't really much of a chase, but just should improve your consistency. Now, hard to really hammer the point home on gems because, again, this is free any, there's lots of gems. And given that it's early doors, I don't want Kurt to really be thinking about gems too much. But I like that when they see optional 5s and 10s, well, mostly 5s so far, they are going for them. Yeah, that's an easy 15 to grab, so good job. Yeah, I'm quite surprised actually that they're so behind the splits they're using, because this seems like a perfectly fine early game. They must have had a really good early game in the 101. And yeah, this is, well, yeah, just under a 5-minute PB. And the days of me getting 5-minute PBs are long gone in this category, so yeah, I'm really happy to see it. This is sketchy, so much so that I need to just review that again. I should learn the hotkey for slowing down playback speed. Dodging the Zoe is important, especially on PC. So they opt to go more to the right, as yes, there's more platforms, I guess. More platforms to use to get to EOL, so it should be safer, you'd think. But then what happens here is they charge jump like immediately after touching the ground, so they're forced to do like another little short hop. What I would rather see here you got two options. You can go more right and like flame the enemy as you come down so you don't get hit. I feel like this move to the left suddenly is the realization that if I don't move now, I'm going to get hit. But also not really judging how much platform we have left, because if you'd held on to this charge jump a bit longer before jumping, then you would quite easily make it to the bridge. But here we just fall a little bit short. And there was a glide input as well just to try and save it. Maybe rushing a bit too much. But we pull it back. That's 6 seconds over PB. So I understand the urgency. And I realize I'm watching on regular speed again. I'll be here all day if I do that. Now, considering the strat we're going to do in Seashell, I'm fortunate to die back in that time. Gonna want some more health if we can find some. There's gonna be an easy fodder to grab in this next room. Just have to go a little bit to the left. Nice. Well done. Mr. 5. Gem's looking great, so it doesn't matter. That's a good, perfect hover. Didn't do any sort of like wall glide or wiggle to give themselves more height. Nice. So they were able to slow down the momentum enough. And a quick point that the detection zone for the Sheila portal is a bit more to the right. So this circle here is actually more of a visual cue than anything. This isn't the detection zone. The detection zone is actually here, because this is the front that we should be entering from. if this is a reflection of what is above, when you've got the Sheila zone opened, then we enter from this side, and that's why the detection zone is a bit more to the right. And when people miss this one, it's because they're either, well, they're probably going a bit too far left, thinking, oh, okay, I'll just clip the circle. But actually, they've missed the detection zone. Thankfully, not an issue in this one. You have an option there to do like a little charge as well to lose a little bit of height on purpose and then start your glide again. Good post-egg movement, honestly. Yeah, I see better post-egg movement here than I see from some runners. And that's only a notable point because there are people who've been playing this game a lot longer that aren't taking these kind of better lines. It's all good. Everyone's on their own journey. We're not going for Bluto, we're going to the tunnel. And we didn't see Sun Seeds either, so Kurteis definitely going for a more optimal egg route. It seems everything's going well in the tunnel. Very clean. I find that split's a little bit confusing because the timer is always like red, but to me it doesn't look like they're behind it all. It might be comparing to Sum of Best or something. You should change that up. Make sure that it's green when you're ahead. Unfortunately, the flame they did there meant that they didn't grab, because the gem just goes over and Sparks doesn't see it at all. Thankfully got the 10, which is more valuable. Really nice movement. Seeing shades of myself in this. To be fair, it is the guide that I made that Kerr has been using. But a reminder that there is a number of ways that you can play. Don't have to copy someone else's lines for the entire thing. Everyone finds their own flavor with time. Yeah, we are seeing a very conservative mushroom, as they're not using the supercharge at all. And to be honest, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, it's a bit slow, but it's first try. That's like about 15 seconds off optimal. Losing 15 seconds intentionally as opposed to losing 20, 30, 40 seconds unintentionally is still the better option. I won't harp on too much about Mushroom, but let's explain what could be done here. So hugging the inside of the rings, you're doing a good job, can do a little better. If you were going to supercharge, you're kind of at the right altitude. You could maybe even go a little bit higher. And then extending the supercharge between all of these, it takes a bit of practice, but well, a 15-second time save at the end of the day. But just holding on to that one for the future. Not a requirement at this stage, definitely not. And there is techniques for getting both layers of butterflies in one rotation, but that's a bit more advanced. And I would like to see here you continue the supercharge a bit more, because if you're flying closer to the water, you will gain a bit more speed. Now, UFOs is the big one though. It's okay to get knocked out of the air if it's early. Second try would be really good here. Didn't quite catch the one at the back, but the priority was surviving. Might clean this one up easily. Yeah, that was good. Let's watch it one more time. So the focus, obviously the front two, and had the first UFO gone down immediately, then they may have time to start thinking about the third UFO in the back. But clearing up those two is the important one. They're ready for that one emerging from the cave. Those two are quite easy. Unlucky not to catch that one. but not a huge amount of time loss. Honestly, just surviving Mushroom feels like a victory in a lot of cases because, you know, if you've been stuck resetting in Sunny and Cloud for whatever reason, you finally break through, you get through Crater, Seashell, and then it's Shroom that messes you up. It's a pretty bad feeling. And hey, these next two splits like to throw a bit of randomness and chaos into the mix. So getting as many runs through Mushroom as possible is the play. Gems are looking good. There's not really much more to say. Now they are opting to go for the head bash. Now we can get up here a little quicker. Let's talk about that. So one thing we can do is we can even start inputting our high jump as soon as we kick the enemy. Like as soon as you stop the kick action, the game is trying to register your next input, and yeah, it is, I think it's possible to do a high jump straight after that. The other thing is the kick jump. So you will in just a moment, you'll gain all that height, but if you input, will be, I think it's X on the, yeah, because B is circle. So if you press X at the same time as pressing A there, you'll also get a bunch of forwards momentum, and that will allow you to, instead of landing here, probably land just be positioned over the head bash chest, which you can do the ground pound on, because now you're going to have to input a little bit more. But it's not a big time loss or anything, just something that might be useful. I would have grabbed the fodder there, and that's all I'm going to say. Yeah, clearing up this side of the room is correct. Get there before Pete does. The post-leg movement has been really impressive so far, to be honest. Yeah, that's tough. That's not what you want to see. So that NPC was positioned in a way where there's definitely a chance that they would turn. So it would have been worth prioritizing them, or even smashing the hut from the left side. I'm pointing with my finger instead of the cursor. Unreal. And the downside of losing sparks there is we also lost 2 5 gems on the ground. The big thing now is not dying. I do like that they're getting the quick hut breaks. And they recognize that the 10s and the 5s are important, but actually their gems easily good enough that they don't need to prioritize them too much. And at least we got some fodder. Are we green sparks now? Oh, hang on. So we're gonna kill the... Oh no. So we actually moved away from the butterfly too soon for sparks to reappear by the looks of things. Which is a shame. And yeah, this last raised platform, I often will just go for a high jump straight away because timing the double jump here is quite awkward. So, we have no health. Right thing to do is probably enter Buzz and quick continue to get sparks back. Let's see what they do. That's unfortunate. With this one, you always just want to hold like forwards or up, and then even though Spyro is going to spin around, because the camera is facing the balloon, forwards is going to turn Spyro back that way. But yeah, you're charging just a little too early. And hopefully that wasn't frame perfect selection on the menu, because that's how we force the cutscene to play and we can't skip it. Good. All fine. Save that RTA. Alright, just sending it. No sparks. Okay. And we're having Buzz chase us. Oh, that was unfortunate. Because Buzz, the timer had run out for their chasing, so they decided to go to next position, and you just turned into where they were going. Buzz is obviously very scary, particularly when you have no health. So I think quick continuing is good, even though it's going to lose 2 to 3 seconds maybe. Just allows us to take the fight more risky. And by having sparks here, we can actually take damage abuse from Buzz. It's going to speed up each phase. So here, obviously just sending them off the stage. Because we're charging a bit too much, we're not going to be able to line up this next hit. But if we have sparks here, we can actually just kind of stand where Spyro was. And as soon as Buzz jumps back to the stage, they'll take one hit of sparks away and dive into the next phase. Well, I guess it's not the next phase yet, because it's only phase 1 still. But importantly, Kurt is just keeping sparks on, and this is nice life timing. But the slowest aspect of this fight is when... Oh dear. Okay, let's talk about that one. Slowest aspect of the fight is Buzz circling around like this. And if you want to speed that up, 2 ways. Getting damaged is one of them. The other is if you're able to stand by the ledge, you can sometimes cut off Buzz's turning circle. And when that happens, the next protocol is, okay, Buzz, go to next phase. So here, obviously we need to get Buzz near the edge. That's what this does. And kind of just charging in a bit too erratically. You want to wait for the flame wall to come up. I usually will just walk into it, because it means I can steer a bit better in the air and make sure that my charge is going to knock him off the stage, because that's kind of a worst case scenario where he's actually still on the stage, programmed then to move Buzz to a more secure location, so they go more inland, and again we just charge into the flame wall a bit too early, but looks like this time the angle is good. And we will be stalling out the turns again. This is like, I think altogether, if Buzz is turning in every phase, it's going to be 20 to 30 seconds, surely. I'm trying to work it out because obviously we've got speed up. This third phase, so this is the phase where they shoot fire, not just have the flame wall. So they will drop the flame shield, wall, whatever, as they're about to attack. And that's the best window that you want to attack in, as it doesn't require damage abuse. And you're seeing, yes, you can do it the same way you did in phase 2. But if you'd had that extra sparks hit, you could have, again, taken damage from Buzz, preventing them from continuing the spin cycle. All in all, considering entering the fight with no health, only 4.5 seconds behind PB. A very acceptable early game. Just a few strats missing, from what I feel. Like, not a whole lot to change. Just keep doing your thing. Unfortunate to not skip the Bianca cutscene. It was close. Straight into Enchanted. Got that inverted control on lock. Let's have a look. Yep, not engaging with any enemies. This is good. That 5 gem's always a bit finicky, so I don't even bother going for it. Does this mean we're seeing the boosted jump? Obviously this is not just the boosted jump, it's boosted jump, perfect hover, and that was beautiful. Really nice. Okay, that's all the rockets, and using this time to grab a few more 5s is great. There's even more gems up for grabs there. For this platform, I've always done it so that I'll boosted jump to the second step short charge to the third, and then charge from the third step to the middle. Recently I learned that charge jumping is probably just a bit better. So charge jumping onto this first step, you can carry that charge jump up to the third step, I believe. This is still fine though. Unlucky bonk. But yeah, you don't have to go up an additional step. You can jump to the middle from the step below. And yeah, give those skateboard ramps a wide turn, because nothing more annoying than getting on the skateboard before speaking to Hunter. Ooh, that was quite a fortunate front flip, but it worked. Skipping the cutscenes as early as possible. You don't have to press every button, you only have to press Y, and that was a little unfortunate, so sending it with an extra spin and just not having the time to really line it up. Yeah, you're doing like, is that 1350 essentially? Can take it a little safer there. Good, nasty Nork. Will we see a Raging Ripto? No, that's all good. Just big spins. Oh, okay. Real quick. Make sure you're facing as forward as you can when you're done with the trick, because that is an unfortunate time loss. I like that you continue to go for points this way. Really unlucky not to get that one. And so the reason that's not working is just because of the timing of when you let go of triangle, I believe. Or you're probably letting go of triangle and the... Is it the D-pad we're using? No, it looks like it's the analog stick. You just need to hold the trick a little bit longer. And say you've done all the trick inputs in the air, you can use the remaining air time to correct your trajectory. Let's talk about something else you could have done. So obviously, yeah, giving up at the end of the fight. If that trick goes poorly and you're adamant that you want to use the big ramp, you can give up there and then, and you'll respawn at the top of the big ramp to start over. Overall, not too bad. Yeah, and good. We've already spoken to Bianca, so at this point, might as well just charge out of the gate. Post-egg movement here. That's good. Not bonking is what we want to see. Okay. Yep, safe damage abuse to break that. I feel like I'm observing more than reviewing. This is... Oh. It's unfortunate. The timing on that one is a bit tough. Yeah, this is the thing about 1.5 times speed. It's just my millennial brain is struggling to process everything fast enough. So I would often go for the left phase first, because if I'm going to use the right wall, that's a cool little ducky. I might as well make this kind of turn, as it will set me up better for what's on the right. So I really like this first one. You know, like you lined up and you're parallel. But yeah, what's happening here is we're not getting the hover out in time. I think it's actually because you're hovering a bit too early, because it looks like the animation for when you drop. And that's okay. Nice charge jump over there. Nice follow up. Maybe a little riskier than I would like to take it, but it doesn't matter if it works. A few extra fives is good. Gem count's very healthy. Arguably a bit too high, and that's not a bad problem to have. Because really, they've been grabbing most of the optimal gems out there. We are on 30 FPS. Yeah, it was just slightly off with the timing before. Let's see it again. And maybe slightly... It looks like we're just facing a bit too far to the left, because the attempt that ended up working was a bit more to the right. And yeah, just I think waiting a bit too long to hover that time, which is, it's a snowball effect really. Because the thing that was giving you an issue here of going a bit too early or later on is actually just being a bit too late. And finding the sweet spot is just something that's going to take time, isn't it? Clearly you can do it because you got it third try. One thing you can do here, I know that it kind of makes sense to go for the one that's right next to the wall. Nice charge jump, actually. I really do like charging off the ice to get up here. So when you land on this small step, you can just do a full jump. So just hold A, get max height jump, and you can jump up to this ledge here. If you flame the TNT as you go up there and then charge into it, you get the same result, but it's just a little bit cleaner. Not like it's going to save you heaps of time, but something to think about. So we're opting not to push the yellow thief around at all. Just plays it smart, gets the red. Will we extend the supercharge? Yeah, we are sending it on the yellow thief. And there I would have guidebooked. And there's two reasons for that. One, returning to spawn is pretty much a straight shot to Sergeant Bird, especially because we've spoken to Bianca already. So there's not really anything to slow us down aside from the body of water in front. Two is when you fly out of a portal, as we'll see in a moment, keep an eye on the loadless timer, the 1946. So you just lost 5 seconds and you didn't even get to play the game. It's dumb. Guidebooking is really useful because flyouts do cost us time, and we only really want to fly out of a portal if it's going to put us somewhere really convenient. Like for the rest of midday, you know, the portal we entered before is also the next nearest to our next destination. But Icy is sort of a comparable distance from spawn, so we may as well just guide it back to spawn. It does avoids losing 5 seconds for a start. But also here, so we're at 1942. By the time we menu out of this area, so we lose 4 seconds to do that bit of menuing. Guidebooking would probably have lost us a maximum of 2 seconds. So 7 seconds just by changing how you exit the level. And it's little things like that that set the top runners apart. You know, 7 seconds is not going to jump you up to top 10. But this logic applies to a lot of levels. I say a lot. There's probably not that many levels this applies to, but it's a very easy thing to implement. That's what I'm trying to get at. This is a really good gem count to have as well. Little bonk, no worries. Let's have a look at bird. So the bird movement we want to be seeing uses strafing a lot. We're not using the strafe, but that's okay. We're just going to get through the level. That is a useful 25, but personally I think it's not ideal unless you can sort of grab it in the air as, you know, you break it. I can't even see it on the screen, but basically when the bottle smashes on the ground, the pink gem bounces up in the air. That's why it's optimal. If you can grab it at that point, you don't really stop bird's movement. But because we have to land, yes, we get an extra 5, but it just takes us a lot longer to get to this area. And now I'm kind of thinking, where's the hummingbird? We do get the first weight. That's the extent of it. And probably the most important thing about that sequence is getting the first weight. But an alternative is you can... Will we get a visual? No, not really. Maybe we'll get a visual in a moment. Yeah, so there's this enemy up here, and then there's these gems down here. So ideally, 25 is good, but if it's not consistently getting you the way, if you've ever found that you've missed this timing, I would recommend skipping the 25, continuing on this trajectory, get that weight down, turn around, take out this enemy, and drop down and grab these gems. It's a lot more consistent, but still has the desired effect. Alright, so the key enemy there does get a swipe at us. So I like to, when we get to about here, I'm already firing shots, because the range on these missiles is really long, and chances are both of these enemies are going to die if you just spam. And as you're spamming, it's alternating left to right, so as long as you're keeping track of which one is next, you can sort of approach this enemy from the side that favors you. So if your next shot is from the right, this is a good position. And actually, your next shot was from the left, which is why they were able to get an attack in. And we also just got maybe a little bit too close. You don't have to get that close to the enemy. I'm glad you picked up the 15 at the end. Yeah, we're probably about 50 to 60 gems over where we need to be. We'll keep rolling with that. But yeah, the best case scenario is you find that you've grabbed more than you need, and you can just start rooting things out. Rather that than force yourself to root stuff in last second. Alright, let's talk about this fun little trick. So the start of Spooky Swamp, we'll keep an eye on the timer. Well, the game thinks we're in the level, but no matter what button you press, nothing's going to happen. How many seconds? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 seconds ticking before we get to do anything. So what we will do instead is quit and continue. So as soon as the timer is ticking, so basically now, if you're sort of regularly pressing the pause button, you can bring up the pause menu, select quick game, yes, back on the main screen, hit continue, and then straight back into Spyro 3. That takes less than 5 seconds. And it saves time. And it's dumb. But it beats watching the black screen for no reason. It just feels really bad to lose time to something like that. And it's very avoidable. It would be even more avoidable if it was programmed correctly. Okay, anyway. It's a very good spooky so far. In fact, I didn't even comment on the jump back there. Let's watch the jump again. Yeah, really nice. Good amount of height, lots of room to get the hover in. And didn't take too aggressive of an angle. Like, it's better to take the shorter path there than try and stretch it for an extra bit of distance, because yeah, if you fail it at that point, you only have yourself to blame. Taking the treetops a little careful with the glides. Possible to charge jump over all of those. Solid gold, 6-second improvement. And you can save another 2 to 3 seconds just at the start of the level. So we go off to Bamboo. Hopping up the stairs. First one, second one. The downside of walking close to them is obviously you then have to walk a bit further to your next spot. But this is completely fine, safe. Consistent strats will get you where you need to be. Impressively, the summer best is already down to nearly a 52. Very promising. And this wall glide is honestly very solid. Let's watch it again. Yeah, so it's this window where the hover comes through. In fact, didn't even go for the hover, just went straight for the turnaround. So good start, good change of direction. I would hover here, kind of holding at maybe 1 to 2 o'clock on the analog stick, and then it will set up the final glide that you're going to do here. But if this method is what's working for you, keep at it. It's unfortunate the hover doesn't get you up just slightly too early. But hey, a big time save over going around the intended way. Bonk. Ah, yes. I won't replay that one. But basically, when we're going for this thief setup, I would jump. Are we going to see it? No. That was really quite risky. I would start the charge jump into glide from the step that we're on. Because there's not a lot of ground below here, and as you just saw, the zone that starts you into like a never-ending roll, it's very close. So it's just another layer of unnecessary risk. Yeah, that's funny. So I think here, let's see, I think it was the flame being too early. Yeah, they weren't on your screen yet. And perhaps, yeah, a slightly different angle would have meant that they had gone a bit sooner. They're very close, and thankfully, yes, the NPCs can block the thieves. But not always. Actually, I really want to comment on that. I really like this glide up. It wasn't intentional, but just the bonk into charge. Really trying to send it on the lines, knowing that, you know, there's not a lot of time save to be had here, but I really want to move fast. But the inexperience is just bonking on a lot of stuff. That will get better. Each bonk is sort of the equivalent of a second lost, yeah. I'm looking at the gem count and I'm thinking, is that low? Am I cooked? I guess it is. Maybe I've been thinking about the console gem route, but normally you want to be around 400 here, I think. Slightly higher is better. But at the rate that you've been picking up gems, I'm sure we're going to get a lot in the evening, and they're some good ones. So line up at the start. Next rock's in a good position as well. That's 2. So we can wait for Spike's attacks. Can also sort of walk into melee range and force them to not shoot, and instead chase you for a bit. There are some uses to that. But this one should be very on cycle as long as he doesn't drop it on Spike, because that can be really bad. And I think we're going to have to wait for a shot. No, it's just all the way over here. No dramas. Good Spike fight. Now, the position for, shall we say, early whirly, that's something we can talk about. And here, unfortunately, you kind of stood in the worst place. Because what happens is, the egg plays out, the cutscene, and then Spyro is sort of being blocked. The pathing is being blocked by the remainder of the egg cutscene. So nothing happens for a moment. And then unfortunately, because of the distance to the whirligig, Spyro still ends up walking over, which is unfortunate time loss. What we want to do... I can't really demonstrate it in here. Maybe I find a video real quick. Nobody look. Okay. Do you wanna open? Yeah, cool. This is where I have the worst Spike fight of all time, and I have no right to show it. I actually do think I lost time on Spike before. Okay, so keep an eye on this hut. You want to be like on the left side of it. I'll get up near the edge, turn left, do a full jump, and then a head bash. Whilst this is playing out, the egg cutscene happens, and I'm standing here. So this is the line from the middle. The game has automatically pathed me here. And this is close enough to the whirligig that the game says, all right, you've walked over, let's get you in there. Damn, I didn't have a good Spike in PB. I'll have to improve that. But yeah, for PC, strats like that do help. Console, I think it probably does still help with IGT, but things like menus and guidebooks and stuff really do come in clutch sometimes. But yeah, nice time save over Spike. We're ahead of PB going into evening, and that's where you want to be ahead. Now, Evening Lake does house the split I'm expecting to be talking about, but we'll see what else happens. So we're on the surface at first to grab a 5. That's a good 10 to grab. We're actually going to pick up the full load there. I think that's worth it. We're actually a little bit down on where I would expect the gems to be, so there's a lot of useful gems at the start here. I like that we get the 17 gems behind. We're going for the double flame, really nice. Not rushing with a charge and messing things up. Did miss a 10, but not important. 30 FPS, nice glide over to Cecil. Not risking the post-egg movement, just waiting for it to work out, and I respect that. Ooh, that wall glide. So it was good. We just didn't move very fast. Because of how aggressively we're angled into the wall, the forwards momentum is a bit less. So it's going to need more taps to get us across. So you get enough in. This kind of auto hover at the end, thankfully got us nearby. And then yes, you did like a panic jump. Didn't take you too far. I've seen people like miss this platform entirely, and that's really bad. This has been a good frozen. What's your gold here, I wonder? It says 146. Whoop. Hang on. What was the menu on the right thing? Oh, it was on guidebook. Nice gold by 0.2, but there you go. The run is definitely living. Still got a few splits before Bentley when we're going to need that 1,000. Slight hesitation out of the portal is not a big deal. Going to clear all the gems in the room. I like to clear the left side of the room, grab the egg, and then complete the rest. Okay, I can tell you know where all the 10s are because you're grabbing all of them. Therefore, the gem count really is not as low as I suggest. So here we're just going to be using the platforms to get across. Doesn't matter if we take a bit of damage with sparks, especially because there's fodder right there. But the movement is good. Just not wasting time going for enemies that drop little gems. Constantly thinking about where the next objective is and how to get there. Now, when you run the same category so much, the sentence thinking about where the next objective is seems redundant because of course you know the category by then, but figuring out the best option instead of a good option is what takes the most time. So we did pick up the rocket. What I want you to do here is ignore these gems. So, you know, break the chest, but just continue straight on because we're coming back here. So we're going to cross over those gems anyway. Sam skip now. So we're doing the arc. Ah, it's really nice. If anyone's not sure what that was, so it's kind of like a half moon meeting the bomb back at the peak of Spyro's jump and at a height where the bomb itself, because it's not a big explosion, but still reaches Spyro. You handle those stairs better than I did when I started, because I would constantly bonk there. And guidebooking out, really good. Kind of gutted for you it wasn't a gold, because it went well. Just shows how good your gold must be. Remember, Kurt's been playing for like not even a month. It's an important detail. It's not to say, oh, Kurt's a prodigy and no one can be this good. It's more so like you can start at any level, and if you apply yourself, you can get good very fast. But you have to be driven, of course. I don't know what Kurt's goal is, but they're on their way to sub 50, and they'll be one of the few new sub 50 runners for quite a while. Nice pickup on that gem. Ah, okay. Something I want to talk about here, which I think is undervalued, is the platform we're about to pass has a 10 gem on it and Zoe. It's normally, well, I say normally, every run I do, I will hop up on this. Let's see what happens when we get the cat. We get a red. We don't care about the cat wizard. I know they're sort of en route to the next gem, But what I'll do is I'll hop up on the platform on the right, get zapped by Zoe, grab the 10, pivot off to the left so I can grab this purple still, and we're right back here. But we also have a checkpoint behind us and an extra 10. That was a good glide cancel just to dodge, and yeah, given we're on PC, that's a very easy wall glide to get. But again, practice makes perfect. Up to Benjamin, grab the 15 down below. We've got Fireball, let's see what we do with it. Charging through the metal. Okay. I think he handled that very well, actually, because there were some iframes messing with things. So, it got sketchy back here, because I can see you're ready to shoot, but the enemy you just charged through is in the way. So what I would probably be doing is continuing the charge a bit further along this platform, probably into the second enemy if we can, to get them both out of the way, and then taking out these folks. But that pivot charge for the second metal guy was very useful and very risky because the acid was right there. Calculated. All the way up to here. I do think from this third platform you might be able to make that. You may not need to go up here. But hey, whatever's comfortable. And good decision to flame the Cat Wizard because their hitbox can block things. Alright, I'm paying attention to the gems again, and it does look a little bit lower than what we would like to see, but there's some good gems in here. Okay. This side area is the one Kurt mentioned to me. So starting off, that's good. Lining up pretty well. So we're going to do a perfect hover. And I strongly recommend, and I'll probably talk about it again later on, I would recommend not going forwards with the glide. I would, you press the glide input, immediately it wants to push you forwards. That's where I would I press the analog stick left or right, depending to, what's the best way? It's basically stalling, because if you change Spyro's glide trajectory straight after starting the glide, you lose height a little bit slower, and you don't move forward so much. And just being able to stay close to the spot where you started jumping from gives you a lot more control. Thankfully we still make it, but here is maybe a little bit more panicky. But this one, for example, this may still work, but there's not a lot of room to work with. Spyro his face is right up against the mushroom. But if we tilt left or right, you still have the height from the perfect hover, so you can make it up to the mushroom. But it doesn't matter how close you stood next to it. Thankfully, the timing was good there. Oh, we've seen the charge a couple times, haven't we? Charge off. So, okay, so we don't have to do a double bounce. If you tap charge when you're in the air after bouncing, you can input a glide. Obviously, you don't want to charge long at all because you're losing height and you're not going to be able to glide straight out of it. But if you do a little tap of the X button, yeah, it's the X button, then you'll be able to glide a little sooner. And I say that, yeah, it's the same there because there was just a lot of delay that you didn't want. Because I can see you're pressing the A button, it won't let you do it because it's the first bounce. And by the time it does, it's too late. But if, yeah, just like that. I knew I saw the charge. So you know what you need to do. But you just need to do it each time. And it's gonna improve consistency across the board. But that's for the small mushroom jumps. Important, but less important than this. I don't know how long we're going to be here. So, perfect hover up, good enough. Again, I like to do the little turn off to the side. First bounce has been skipped now, so we can definitely go for this next jump. Yeah, and this is the problem I see. Because your glide is going straight at the ledge, Spyro's just losing a bit more height than if you do a little tap to the left or the right when you're in the air. That stalling is enough that you're going to be able to still input your hover as soon as you want, but you're also going to have more height. And if you start your jump, because the correction people then go for is, okay, well, I have to start, well, I have to position myself closer to the ledge then. But then people bonk on the place they're trying to get to. And now we're actually just, that part of the mushroom we're jumping from is slightly lower, so we're starting with even less jump height than we want. So the crucial ingredient we're missing is just a little tap to the left, I would say. And I would do it kind of the moment that you start gliding. I was actually thinking about, it's okay, I've still got my my VOD here. I was thinking about demonstrating it in-game. But no, it's better to give a visual example. And I've got the gamepad over here as well. So that action on the ground is the same action I want to do in the air. Except instead of it being a grounded jump, this is a jump from the mushroom itself. You'll notice I press the glide button, followed by almost an immediate analog stick press. And that stalls it enough. That's all it is. That's nothing, right? Like, you don't really need to do anything different, but it works nearly every time. So it sucks. It sucks to be missing the trick because you're not doing one small thing, but this is why feedback is good. All right. Thanks, former world record VOD. Let's go back to the game. And I think your consistency with getting on the mushrooms will heavily improve when you implement that trick as well. That trick, that input. It's probably the best way to phrase it. And we make it up, because I didn't say it was impossible to do without that extra input. But we're going for consistency. Oh, did we pick up every gem there? I'm watching that last pink. Okay, good. Skipping out too early would have felt pretty bad. Considering it's only Lost Fleet after this, we are about 100 gems off for the moment. But I'm sure there will be gems to grab. Just trying to understand how it happened. Oh well. Gem route, I harp on about it too much. Everyone's got their own. Best way to learn is probably through watching somebody else's gem route and sort of trial and error with your own. I like to do the, I'm going to over gem on my first playthrough and then cut stuff on the second playthrough. That's my way of getting it. Yeah, nice wall glide. PC gets the best wall glides. Cries in console. I like this. So this is obviously, if you went straight from the position you're going to land at to Chad, it wouldn't work because you're too low. This wall is sloped. I like you just make your way over here and get to the right position and line up, because failing this trick is devastating for the run. Why bother failing when you can just get it first try? Doesn't matter if it loses 2 seconds. Alright, starting subs 1 well. Goes for the lock on there. Unfortunately, because of that, it's made the next 3 just a little more rough around the edges. but I like the cleanup. The cleanup was decent. What I would have done differently, if I knew I wasn't going to be able to get a good angle on the third one, I'd probably ignore it. Unfortunately, because we're now locking on, it kind of prevents us from going for the fourth sub. So then, yeah, assuming that we decide, okay, I'm just going to go for the third sub, we ignore the fourth one and keep doing the fast pattern. We'll go for the sub that's coming from the top left. And then you'd actually be able to catch the sixth sub on cycle as well. And sub number 4 circles around to meet you there, so it's not too hard to catch afterwards. But again, that's not a bad cleanup. Let's get the mouse off the screen, eh? A little messy. Let's just replay that. It's an interesting decision to flame one crab and then skip past the next one. I would say just charge them both to get them out of the way, because we have to wait for Ed anyway. These two folks have 2 hits to them because they're in the cape for the first one. And the bonk on Ed was unlucky. Oh, it was a little too low. The goal of Ed to then point like you didn't see. Yeah, this sequence here, because we had no health and we started the glide from very low down, I would typically suggest taking the glide from up on this platform we were at. But it was a really good decision to hover early, I think, because it meant that if you needed to do another hover, you had that option. And then to just dodge around that attack, very important. All right. That's a big gold. 12 seconds, and clearly the run before was a bit more difficult. I don't know if that has anything to do with trying subs 2 in a run or something. But or even the glide to Chad, maybe the previous run was unsuccessful. Who knows? It's not important. The important thing is this run is definitely on PB pace. So yeah, we are still down in gems. We're grabbing all the optionals we can, but we are still down in gems by 82. There may well be 82 gems here, but you already grabbed a few earlier as well. Let's see what you do. Because I've praised the gem route a few times. Yeah, I guess cleaning up gems in this section is the only thing left, right? I was thinking maybe even the gems around Jank Whale as opposed to the gems here. Yeah, you'll have enough because there's 30 including that. There's plenty of backups in evening. But for as good as the gem route felt early on, there must have been a few optionals missed. Now I kind of regret talking you out of the 25 in Sergeant Bird, because it's gems like that that really keep things on track. Have a watch of some more VODs to get some ideas, I would say. Well, that's the last we'll have to talk about gems, at least. I'm just going to save mine for next run, whenever that is. So here, I would speak to Bart instead of what you're doing. And the reason is, if we're talking to Bart and this cutscene plays, and you stop talking to them, you can move freely. And that means you can actually start jumping onto this platform now instead of when the cutscene ends. What's the difference? Like 0.5 of a second? I don't know. It's just something I like to do. And I've done it ever since I learned it was a thing quite early. There's a lot of legacy strats that ultimately don't make a lot of sense, but like people used to fly and skip Spooky Swamp all the time, but really it doesn't save any significant time over just going into the level and quick continuing. Nice box push, using the corner well. Gonna do the same here. That's nice. Yep. Oh, there's so much to talk about in Bentley. I guess just be a little careful getting so close to Bart, because I have seen a few proxies, and they're not good ones. They are very unhelpful for the run. So we're going into Scorch. We have blue sparks. I'm just replying to a message whilst this is loading up. Right, let me back it up. Starting off then, we get 2 eggs. 2 eggs means that Scorch, after a few seconds, will just start moving. They're not going to wait for you to kill, but they will give you a little bit of time before they move. And that's a red as well. So this is like the perfect start almost. We get the rocket we need for the stun lock, and we don't have to deal with so many enemies that it prevents us getting in position for the stun lock itself. I'm just saying words. I feel like I repeated myself just now. But this is looking good for a stun lock. There's a red on the field. I don't think this is a rocket storage run, but I really don't know. Although, actually, yeah, say the run before, yeah, the Scorch split is like 354, so maybe this is a rocket storage run. If so, I probably need to rewatch it just to see how we did with the... Because there's 2 reds on the field. That's not a great Bentley cycle, so are we waiting? It ends up being a good Bentley cycle. Ooh, and we used the green, which delayed it just a little more. This is a great rocket storage. I'm going to watch it again. So the fight starts off really good. We get the red that we need. Straight in with it. Throws a green off the edge. Doesn't really matter. At least it's not a red. That red was a short throw. I will say, I think based on your positioning here, there's a pretty high chance that the next Bentley throw also throws the red off the stage. This is normally where I cut kind of down more into the stage. I know that's where the fireballs are, but as long as you jump at the right time, you tend to dodge most of those. Yeah, you're actively moving around a lot. I'm sure you'd be able to get a jump to dodge things. So we have a red, we have a green, and I've definitely seen Kurt practice rocket storage, so they know what they're doing. There's 2 reds now, so any greens we see we can pick up. That is a bit of a risk, but I would have done the same. That one as well. So we're using the greens now for the stun lock, and that's sensible because there's no risk really. As long as you're aiming at Scorch, you can basically always guarantee a hit. If somehow Kurt pivoted the wrong way with reds, they might not be able to keep up with Scorch and keep the stun lock going, but green pretty much guarantees. Now I got a bit worried here. To be fair, I'm watching at 1.5 times speed. Seeing Bentley throw while Scorch is moving, I immediately think, okay, it's a bad cycle. When Bentley stops and Scorch is doing whatever, chances are he won't throw straight away. But it looks like Scorch goes for a long journey around the side, like a third of the stage. Throws an egg, which is what we want, because Fireball just puts up his shield. We know 2 reds are out on the field. Bentley's coming into view. And because Kurt has a green, which has slower air travel time, it stalls it even more because Bentley hasn't thrown yet. That's beautiful. And it lands in the middle. Hey, this is somebody that's watched the guide. So a small goal of about 5 seconds, but 5 minutes and 10 seconds in front. So between now and the end, losing a handful of seconds. Really good though. Let's skip the cutscene. We don't need to worry about that. Alright, let's see how the rest of these splits go. Yeah, just testing the waters. And yes, sensible hover. Don't lose the rocket after you get it. And we did speak to Bianca. Was that intentional? Okay, so maybe a little late with the movement to avoid Bianca. But this was the right call afterwards. So yeah, playing it safe with the hover up. Since we spoke to Bianca, just charge. It is faster than gliding over a zone that's no longer there. Alright, into Crystal. I've been no-scoping this one lately. Oh, right, let's comment on that quickly. So, yeah, the enemy there just aggroed us. Thankfully, we had... Can you imagine if Kurt had no sparks? Oh. Oh, that's tough. That's scary. It's okay to get hit by that enemy as long as you have no sparks. But I have lost rocket storage here by being too close to the edge. Getting hit there will make you very sad, so be wary. That's one dead plane thief. I would recommend taking this turn a bit tighter. And you can do little charges in the air to allow you to do quick turns. So you do a charge followed almost immediately by a glide. Basically, as soon as you're facing the way you want to go, by another glide. And it just allows you to like cut under the tree and make your way up to the star a bit sooner. This is a minute adjustment. I don't feel like I've had to talk about very much at all in this run, like in terms of improving on the splits. Kurt's doing a lot of things right. Sub 50, I believe. It may not happen next run. But in such a short amount of time, it's really good to see. Okay, so this egg at the end, you probably want to land in front of the egg instead of behind it. It will move you behind it. Actually, will it? I don't think it does. No, the trigger zone is in front of the egg, so you just want to land straight in the trigger zone and then move behind the egg like you did here. That's quite wide, and that's why we missed it. Goes to the head bash to speed up the death though. So the angle here, you probably do want to go. You want to look at this tree, and yes, it's got the the sliding geometry, but you do want to be slightly over it. And as long as you do a big charge jump and glide at the peak of your jump, Spyro 1 advice, coming back, you should be fine. And don't turn in too early. But if you kind of turn in at the same timing you did here, but just a bit more to the left, then you're easily making the hover. Because you only just missed it, so you don't have to make a big adjustment there. You know, on I think it was my first low 51 pace, I failed that particular jump as well. When everything else is going right, it's tricks like these that trip us up. On to Haunted. We will have a torch jump, I presume. Given this is PC, they're going for the PC setup. That was almost like first, second try. Oh, fell off a little bit too rushed, but very consistent with the landings. So good work to not get super emotional about missing it, because it's very easy to get tilted when it doesn't work. Ah, yeah, thinking of tanks 2 perhaps a little too early. This can be improved, and I'll tell you how. First of all, if you like, you don't have to do tanks 1 with mouse and keyboard. It really doesn't help you that much. Unless you have like some crazy early kill setup, which is possible. What you kind of want to do is just go in a sort of straight line to the middle. And so when you're about here, maybe a little bit more here, they're going to pop out because you're at their range of long shots. And their positioning after popping out of cover is very consistent, and you can just wait for them to do it and react. But what's happening is because we're moving forwards... No, actually, all of them do pop out of cover like that. but we take a few hits of damage because we're just sort of moving constantly forwards. What I would rather see is once you're at the range where they're going to try and attack you, this is where you start strafing. You strafe from, in your case, right to left. And as long as you keep your cannon pointed at where they're going to be vaguely, even if you point at the, I don't even know what you'd call these, lanterns. If you're just pointing at the lanterns, waiting for which side they're going to go to and reacting, you don't have to move the tank very much at all. I just think you're overdoing the tank movement. Makes it more complicated than it needs to be. That's the kind of tank movement you see in tanks too, because obviously they're under, well, they're around more corners. It looks like the AI is also smart enough to see if you're pre-firing where they could come out from, they'll go the other way. So holding your shot might be the better call. Oh, we did get the yeah, so let's discuss quickly. You've got the, in the long distance, we are strafing now, which allows these long shots to connect here because we're up to 3 kills, so we killed the 2 off the screen. So you've got that down. But considering tanks 1 is a lot easier, it can just be a little cleaner. Getting in close quarters is quite common with these last few. What I prefer to do, rather than going around the outside, I would stay quite central and use the lob shots. Again, just less distance covered by the tank, because you don't need to go that far to be able to hit everything. But what I sense is a lot of urgency now, like we're just trying to get in as close as possible so that there's no funny business. I do like the commit to the strafe shot, because at that point, you may as well. That ladder's so janky that I really understand why you did that. Oh, my way of doing this ladder, to do it fast, would be sort of 2 ladder hops on here. Because it's not a very tall ladder. You'd think 1 ladder hop would be enough, but because of how the top rung has a weird hitbox, it just gets in the way. So that charge jump was slightly early. Or maybe just you started to glide a bit too early as well. It's okay though. And yeah, because you don't have too much slide momentum, you don't need to slow down on the side. Yeah, aggroing that enemy is good. With the auto hover. That's a nice Haunted Gold. 40 seconds. Wow. Nice. I don't know if it was a torch jump issue or tanks issue, but the run is on fire. No sparks. These lizards are your friend. You should try and take out more of the lizards. We also need to be able to afford Molten Thieves, so... But there's a lot of gems in Dino. I just find that Sparks likes to grab those gems for us. Now you could hover around the corner. Getting those gems. Really good wall glide. PC gets the best wall glides, I'm telling you. Yes, I know that one can be done on console, that's not the point. It's making me want to run PC again soon. Yeah, waiting a bit before charging just makes the underwater section a little more easy to navigate. Yeah, gems are great. No surprise there. And we're doing Dino Tunnel. So, Dino Tunnel on PC. How long does it take? Let's find out. So, because this is kind of where the level would end for us, we'd do the menuing. So let's say, to be generous, starting from 4653, let's see how long this takes. I'm not going to talk too much because it is just Dino Tunnel. It's 20 seconds. It's 30 seconds. 40 seconds. $50 seconds. So 55 seconds, unless I'm crazy, because it started at 46.53. Now, Dino Tunnel's not that difficult, but it's not as fast as some of the alternatives. The one that comes to mind is Bluto. Now, Bluto can be as fast as like 35 seconds, but usually like 40 to 45, and it's early in the run. I don't hate Dino Tunnel, I think it's fine. But honestly, I think Sunseeds is faster, and that hurts to say. But yeah, definitely don't just start throwing in subs 2 because you want to be optimal. Unlucky bonk. Ooh, necessary hover. Can make the charge jump, but when you have no sparks, that is scary stuff. Now, there's a lot of available fodder around, so this advice doesn't really work, but if you need fodder, and you can't find any, you can do a quick continue. It's only going to lose you a few seconds, but if it means you don't die halfway through the Sheila section, for example, that's good use of your time. So we're going to get zapped by Zoe here. Oh, the lifetime. Wait, what? That was nearly a death, right? Dude. Oh my god. I need to slow that down more. That's so funny. So because you go over here, the enemy's been aggroed. Or maybe it's here? Either way, I can see they're in the position to shoot. Yeah, I want to slow it down. We'll do half speed. Wow. No, I need to do it slower than that. Oh, and another thing, because you flamed the butterfly, it doesn't pick up straight away. It would have been better, and I know you were trying to charge it, but yeah, charging there would instantly give us sparks. Alright, one more time, please. Oh! That's like... I don't know if, because it's 30 FPS, if that's 2 or 4 frames, but not many frames. That could have been not the best. Because I think Zoe was about to zap you and hadn't zapped you yet. But because she did, even after all that, we're just here. So not too bad. Why did that jump go wrong? It's okay to be low on health, because even if we just get into Sheila with like no sparks, you'll respawn in there. So the lineup can be a little more left. It's a shorter distance, but it's okay to aim there. Ah, we let go of charge too early. We really need to extend the charge jump and then glide at the peak, because this is quite a long gap. Like a boosted jump, I don't know if a boosted jump would do heaps then. Maybe it would, but I feel like charge jump is the play. Wait, was that a second try fail as well? No. That's the first attempt. Here we are on the second attempt. And we make it just fine. Yep. So just a little inconsistent. It's all good. You're on a good run. I don't know if the hands are shaking, but mine usually are. Going through Sheila, we've got green sparks. Some enemies you do need to jump, but others you don't need to. Figuring out which ones are which is useful to keep us on the ground as much as possible, because Sheila moves fastest when she's able to just run on the ground. But this is not an easy side area to do quickly. I like the ground pound, but kicks are also quite good. And we want to avoid doing the high jumps as much as possible. And I'm not going back to replay anything or point anything out because I'm sure you know this. It's just in the moment it is hard to get everything executed properly. Important thing is we didn't die. And we're taking these platforms very safe with the extra hovers. As you get more confident, you'll find you are able to make most of that with just charge jumps. As long as you're pressing A and X like fully, you can make some good distance. And the only way to really get confident with that is to try. So if you see a gap you think you can charge jump it, you may as well see if you can. Right, we're nearly at the yellow thief. Yeah. The optimization I would have done here, so far so good, but I would be aiming for the right here, because this is more of a straight line than what you're going to do. You're kind of following the middle line in this moment. So they just get away from you here. Hopefully we catch them here. Ah, no. And that was the difference maker, I think, because you really believed that you were going to catch them earlier. Yeah, so you're doing the right thing of approaching by jumping over this bit of wall instead of going around. We can be hugging this corner a bit more, though. This is a good line. This is a good... Yeah, again, hugging the inside corner there would have helped. And if we know for a fact that we've messed up and we're not going to catch them, we don't flame here because we just need to confirm them up there. But unfortunately, we try both. We just miss out. I'm not even sure if it's a distance issue, just maybe the angle. But you keep at it, tenacious. How many seconds lost is that? 10 maybe? About 10 seconds. It sucks, but it happens. We've all lost time here. Ah, yeah, red thief moment. So it's really great when this works, but I see a lot of people missing it. And one thing you can do, instead of aiming for the thief, you can be thinking about, I'm going to land here so that my immediate charge jump hits them like dead center. Because that's the line they're joining into. The alternative is you follow behind them around the corner. What's interesting is because you immediately go into a glide, they cross underneath you. I've been seeing lately the red thief turning around, which is kind of worse, I guess. And now here, based on where they are, I would probably follow them around. Does this work? Yeah, that was the right call, I think. Ah, such a shame about the bonk. So again, we're going to follow them around here. Oh, we just needed to jump a little bit earlier. We get another shot at it. Okay, too far. It was working before where we just follow them around here. Ah, red thief, red thief, red thief. The fast setup's great when it works, but I can tell this is really annoying you in the run because this is not something you want to be putting up with. Like, he was hiding behind that rock. You almost had it. This is actually a good idea to... Oh, but you've despawned him. I think you have to speak to the NPC again. This really sucks. That's such a sad way to lose time. Yeah, surely we must have to speak to the NPC, yeah? Ah, it's so infuriating when they just reveal them like that. Ooh, we got a bit of like slowdown at the end. Like there. It's over. I'm sorry you had to put up with that. Yeah, red thief gives a lot of people problems. Maybe we can work on that because how much time loss was that? It's got to be a minute. Yeah. Well, more compared to gold. A lot of potential is what I will say to that one. And what was the wall glide we did? Yeah, just a standard. Very good at those wall glides. Securing Billy. And yet, the fastest movement we can do here, on the D-pad if you'd like, or the unlocks, I would use the D-pad. if possible, but I know on the Xbox it feels a bit awkward to use it. Just down and left, held, will walk you straight into that. Don't jump into the vortex or whirlwind, because often jumping into it is how you miss it entirely and fall. On to Sork. This looks like it's going to be a pretty decent fight because PB's a mid 56. Right, so the cannon's dropping in just a moment, and by charging outwards, maybe just not as ready as we'd like to be, but it was okay. These are some good angles on the shots. The cannon should drop right where we were. Also, tank should drop right where we were. Yeah, it's not quite ready for the drop, so that's a few seconds lost. But hey, not getting knocked off the vehicle is the best part of all this, so we focus on the positives. So it looks like it'll be first try UFO. We've got about 20 seconds to kill him. That's some good D-pad movement. I've had people complain about the D-pad for the Xbox controller. You're making it look good. Fortunate in a sense not to get hit by the Sorcerer's hitbox, but overall good flying. And it's a gold by 9 seconds as well. GG. I'm upset for you because that could have been a 55 with the Thieves playing nice. And I think, yeah, you bring up the IGT, but because of the splits, so we can't verify it. One thing you could do, if you were adamant that you wanted to bring up IGT, you could instead quit to the main menu, go to save slots, and the moderators could look at that. All right. I really enjoyed watching that. Again, not on speedrun.com for very long. I think maybe been playing on and off for a month or so before. So within the last 2 months, Kurt's already up to 32nd after not running this game in any capacity. And I think as a speedrunner, this is their first speed game too. So yeah, it kind of reminded me a bit of my journey. I hope you stick with it. I hope you ask questions if you haven't. I hope to watch more streams. I get the notification every time, but I'm not usually available. Time zones, am I right? Yeah, be sure to give Kurt a follow. I'm going to go back through my review series and make sure that people's links are in the descriptions. But yeah, I think, well, 1 subscriber on YouTube. Do we have the Twitch? Yes, we do. 5 followers. We got to do better than that, community. Let's go. Let's go. Support our new runners. I'm excited to see what's going to happen. But until then, have a good one. Bye-bye.